Hi, my name is Mary Wong, and I'm a practitioner of traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncturist in downtown Toronto, founder of Alive Holistic Health Clinic, and author of Pathways to Pregnancy, if you can see here. And today, I'm really delighted to have our guest, Ray Dolman, who is a full-time mom, part-time sex therapist, and a registered psychotherapist with the College of Registered Psychotherapists of Ontario. She's a clinical member with the Ontario chapter of the American Association of Marriage and Family Therapists, and is a registered sex therapist with the Board of Examiners in Sex Therapy and Counseling in Ontario. And right now she's currently working at the Mindfulness Clinic. So welcome, Ray. And I'm excited to have you here because when I was writing my book, I really wanted to cover this topic of sex because what happens when people are trying to conceive, unfortunately, the longer they try, oftentimes they start losing the ability to have lovemaking sessions. So really, the very first question I have for you is, what's the difference between baby making and lovemaking?
Sure, I'd love to answer that for you. So baby making is more about procreation. It's about trying to create life, and it's very goal oriented. It's time pressured, so obviously during the time of ovulation, and can often not be very sexy. It's just about getting the sperm to meet the egg. And, men can feel used for their sperm, and women may then capitulate and only want to have intercourse when they're more likely to get pregnant. And I had one client who explained the process, the fertility process, like it's like donating your body to science when you're still alive. And so I find that's sort of sums up the baby making process, especially if there's medical interventions involved. Lovemaking, on the other hand, it's more about recreation. So it can be more spontaneous. It's often more relaxing. It can even be more playful. And so lovemaking can be without the pressures of making life. It can be a very connecting and relaxing experience, which baby making very often isn't.
Most often isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Let's clarify that. Yeah. What are some of the, let's face it, anyone who's been trying for a while, and for some couples, like only even after a couple of months of trying to conceive, it becomes work. Mm-hmm. And certainly there is no spontaneity, not much love happening, if at all, when you're, focused on this technological way of having intercourse. So what are some of the strategies that people can use, that you have, to shift from baby making to love making?
So one of the most recommended strategies for me is shifting from intercourse to discourse. So getting people to talk about sex, talk about what are their turn-ons, what are their turn-offs, what parts of their body do they want to have touched, what parts do they not want to have touched. Do they want to have partner-guided fantasy or self-guided fantasy? What things make it so that they can't even be in the moment? And so it's about talking about sex rather than actually doing it. And I think that with a focus on pleasure, because I think the pleasure gets sucked out a lot of the time. And sex, I think in the general population, it's about having an erection or having an orgasm or having intercourse or having a baby. When sex is best, it's just about giving and receiving pleasure, no matter what that looks like.
So, as we've talked, lose that sense of passion as we go through. So then what do? Right? What happens when there is no passion and you actually don't want to, when you're trying to make a baby? Mm-hmm. What do?
So I think sometimes it depends on how desperate people are. Sometimes they'll take a vacation from the baby making. But if they don't want to do that, then I would encourage them to shift from the sexual relationship to the romantic and emotional relationship. So where do they feel connected? Perhaps it's time to start to woo your partner again, or go on dates, to do the kind things for them. So if your partner is a book lover, to maybe buy them a gift certificate to their favorite bookstore, or if they're a coffee lover, then do that for the coffee shop. Send them little love notes, texts, emails, leave little stick-it notes behind. Sort of rejuvenate the relationship and remember why you guys are together to begin with. I think that those things are really important. Barry McCarthy talks about 5 gears of touch. So there's affectionate touch, there's sensual touch, playful touch, erotic touch, and intercourse. And so sometimes it's just focusing on the other gears of touch. And I know in your book you talk about.
Oh, you're cutting out.
So all of,
you know what?
Sorry.
I need you to repeat because you just cut out for a second.
Sure. So in your book you talk about hugging and kissing your partner. And so I think those things, like those affectionate kinds of things, to reignite those, to focus on those.
And I totally agree with you because again, when a lot of women and men going through this, they lose interest in that kind of intimacy. So it's like pulling back and going grassroots, and just like, you're first dating, and when you're first dating, you're not having sex immediately, right? So it's that romance period and perhaps igniting that piece of it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, I think also people forget that when they did first start dating, even holding hands was super hot, and so it's reclaiming that piece of the relationship.
Yes, that's a very good point. So then what else would you recommend to improve one's sex life overall when to conceive? Anything else?
Yeah, so I think.
Cutting out again. So hey.
How about now?
Okay, now you're back.
So I guess what I recommend most often is to have non-penetrative sex during non-ovulation days. And that way it's easier to focus on pleasure. And I might even go as far as putting a ban on intercourse during that time. And so this sort of goes back to talking about it. What do you want done to you? What do you want to do to your partner? To make it a more sensual and erotic experience, you may also want to focus on the senses. So what does it feel like when your partner is touching you? What do they taste like? What sounds are you both making? Like to really focus on the pleasure piece, no matter what that looks like. And so I use this silly example in my office all the time. If somebody really likes to stick their finger in their partner's ear, hopefully their partner will let them stick their finger in their ear. So no matter what the pleasure looks like, to just have in mind to give and receive pleasure.
Yes, and again, the focus not necessarily being specifically sex or the lovemaking. Yeah, that's great. So, is there anything that you would recommend all couples to do to keep their relationships healthy?
A piece of advice that I offer a lot of people is the platinum rule. And so I think everybody has heard of the golden rule. That's treat others the way that you want to be treated. That actually doesn't fly in a marriage. It doesn't work so well. What you want to do is treat your partner the way they want to be treated. And you want to be treated the way you want to be treated. Because when your needs are met, you'll be more generous. And so, for example, if one partner has a lower threshold or tolerance for mess and clutter, hopefully the person with the higher threshold will really make an effort to tidy things up for no other reason than that is important to their partner. And so if that's happening, then the other person will see that they're making an effort, and they're going to want to do the things that make their partner happy. And so you get into a more positive feedback loop rather than one that's full of resentment and retaliation and punishments. It's more about, being kind and generous with one another and treating your partner the way that they want to be treated.
Okay, so say that line again so that people can hear it and really absorb it, because I love this.
Yeah, so you want to treat your, sorry, you want to
just say that, just tell us the pearl.
Yeah, so you want to treat your partner the way they want to be treated, and
Love
that
it.
will allow them to be more likely to meet your needs and more generous with you.
Yeah, and over time, hopefully, it will reignite some passion in your life, right?
Yes, yeah, and it will help keep the spark.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mention this in any of my answers, but Esther Perel talks about the love-lust split. And love, the verb underlying love is having. And we have our partners that we love, and we feel close and intimate. But desire, the verb underlying desire, is wanting. And I think that gets missing, like, because we have a lot of sex so that we can hopefully get pregnant and have a baby. And there isn't the spark, there isn't the mystery, there isn't the gap there. And so it's about cultivating that gap. It's about cultivating the desire and the want.
Love it. So do you have other blog material that people can be directed to? Or, at the end of this post, perhaps you can put into the comment section. Do you have a blog? I imagine you do.
Well, so I was blogging. I was told that after June it wouldn't be up anymore. So I stopped blogging probably in January, but they might still be online. And so I guess I can have a quick look, and if it's still there, I can put the link in the comments.
Well, otherwise, then my request is you can do a guest post at a live holistic. I think this topic is so crucial. It gets missed because everybody is just so focused on the baby making, and they forget about their relationship. And certainly I've witnessed people, their relationships actually fall apart, right? Others, they can come together, but other people, it actually draws them further away, like a greater divide, even though they're trying to create life, which is a bit of an oxymoron, right?
Yeah, no, I see it all the time in my practice. Yeah. For sure.
Mm-hmm. So thank you so much. This has been enlightening, and I really hope that all the viewers will take some of this to heart and use it at home, and whether trying to conceive or not, just like in your relationship, right? I mean, after a year or two, after the honeymoon period, all of these tips are good. Baby making.
Yeah, and it's not, this advice is not dissimilar for that I give to people whether or not they're trying to conceive, but it's especially important for those that are.
Sure. Yeah, and I think it's good for healthy relationships in general and in their own personal well-being. Otherwise, there's frustration, anger, and misinterpretation. So, as you said, the number one thing was communication. So again, let's do what you're saying. Why don't you list what you have said just in like bullet points? Is that possible?
Yeah, sure. I did blog about this before the conference where we met, and so I can, if it's not online, I can pull it up and send you that blog.
That would be great. And then everybody can have it. That will be fantastic. So we'll put it up on our website, which is aliveholistichealthclinic.ca. So this is wrapping it up for us. And so I'm really thrilled again to have you here for taking the time out. And I know you're actually on vacation, so you guys are so lucky to have Ray this evening. And now this will be a permanent post, so which is something that you can go back to. And if you want to reach out to her directly, it is the Mindfulness Clinic. Is that correct? Mindfulness Clinic. Yes.
Correct.
And so in downtown Toronto. So again, actually you can comment or give us the link to the clinic.
Sure.
Okay, and otherwise, check out my previous posts, like my page, and check out my website, Along That Life, and of course, pick up the book Pathways to Pregnancy and Raise. Words of wisdom are in here, and I said it in the past, but my original manuscript was 140,000 words, and fortunately or unfortunately, the editors cut it down to 70,000 words. So some of the information that you have given as well has been like shrunk down to like, this much. So this is really great to add in this piece here. Do check out the book. There's lots of great stories of advice and stories of hope. And next Wednesday, I'm on holiday, so I'm gonna actually officially take it off. This will be my first Wednesday off since I've started, and I've done 48 posts, so it's getting close to a year. So it's kind of cool. But I will be back in 2 weeks from now on a Wednesday evening, 8 o'clock. So check it all out, and I'll hope to see you guys soon. Take care. Mwah. Thanks, Ray.
Thanks for having me.